the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Owygen. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. Once again, it always is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. It's just a shame, obviously, Minneapolis and Minnesota, St. Paul, whatever, continue to be the epicenter of left-wing politics in this country and really for the world in a lot of ways. It's a huge frustration, and basically we need divine intervention. We literally need God's help. I mean, we need God's help, and we always have needed God's help. I mean, obviously with the whole Battle of Jericho thing, did the Israelites need God's help to get into Canaan? Yes. The city was filled with Nephilim giants, and obviously the gigantic walls, and they basically were like, forget it, we have no chance here. And, just Joshua and Caleb said, yeah, this is still possible with God's help, and, well, yeah, with God's help, they did get in. Nephilim giants were not the good guys, by the way, so just in case you think of Israel as occupiers and all that, Nephilim giants were basically, they're basically, after their deaths, they became demons, basically, so, familiar spirits, all that good stuff. So, no, I don't think the Nephilim giants were the good guys, and the Israelis just came in and occupied and all of that. It's interesting. Well, this is an interesting thought process. I guess Melania apparently has marked the best debut in over a decade as box office figures roll in, so that's interesting. Whereas certain left-wing celebrities out there were showing how, nobody's going to it. That's what she gets, and that's what you get. Of course, the left-wing celebrities like to give you their story, and that's just kind of how it is. Just driving here in Golden Valley earlier today, there's this bridge, Highway 55 in Winnetka. So if you happen to be from the Twin City or you happen to know Golden Valley, Highway 55 in Winnetka, there's this bridge that goes over Highway 55, and oftentimes you get people holding up signs for this or that, like the No Kings protest back in the summer. And people honking and thinking it's so great and celebrating. Today it simply said, the sign said F.I.C.E. Obviously it said the whole word, and it's like, gee, how classy. So that's what kind of people we're up against. That, and then older people in a car, driving their car and honking and waving to them. Older people, much older people, like we're saying. Like, it's like, really? You'd think an older person would look at that and be like, really? You're going to say that? I mean, it's one thing you have your political opinion, but you got to, curse at it. It's just, I don't know. I think it's dumb. Would you like to walk around holding up a sign saying, bleep Biden, bleep Obama? Is that really a classy thing? I don't think it is. I don't think it's necessary to drop F-bombs or write F-bombs on paper for the whole world to see. You probably saw tons and tons of that nonsense. And, in picture after picture after picture during all these protests. Call it a peaceful protest, but I sure as heck wouldn't call it a classy one. And really, they haven't been peaceful because places where ICE agents have been staying, hotels and such, have been trashed, ransacked and such, and they've been threatened. It's if that's peace, I sure hate to see unrest. I sure hate to see unrest if that's peace. If that's your definition of peace. I think they're everything but peaceful when it comes to the left and the hard left, and they're just angry politics. Remember the whole stereotype about conservatives on the radio, or just conservatives in general? It's always an angry white person. It's always an angry person, and da-da-da-da-da. But really, who are really the angry people? Where you're really seeing anger for the most part is generally from the left. So I think that stereotype has been defeated in so many big ways. Like, they debunked their own stereotype. So it's kind of funny when you think about that. I don't know. Hypocrisy rules in a lot of ways. Dan Bongino's returning back to the podcasting world on Monday, February the 2nd. So nice to hear that. It's going to be 2 hours instead of one, at least the podcast. So that's going to be interesting. So 2 hours, I'll definitely be listening. Yes, I will be listening. I like Dan Bongino's podcast. I kind of missed it when it was away for a calendar year. It is kind of crazy how it only lasted a year. When he left, I thought maybe he'd stay for at least the administration, and then who knows. But, he'd eventually be back. Gosh, it only took a year, so it's funny. So good to hear him again. My mom said he's kind of an angry guy. Obviously, my mom is very conservative, but she's like, is he kind of an angry guy? It's like, not necessarily. Aggressive, yes. Angry, I don't know about angry. Maybe frustrated with the way things are going. Like, how can you not be frustrated in this environment, especially if you happen to live in Minnesota and the Twin Cities, but really just in general, like the constant cursing that's thrown our direction. Like, put it this way: if people at work they knew my political stance, I mean, it'd be scary the way it'd probably be horrifying the way they would react and the way they would treat me going forward. It's sad. Like, you should be able to give a political opinion without getting your head bit off, but not in this day and age. That's why I try to just keep this show. Well, I do the show, but I don't like plug it all over the place on Facebook where anybody can see it. It has its own Twitter, has its own Facebook page. Well, it did have its own Facebook page. Unfortunately, my entire regular Facebook account has been hacked, and of course, those are all connected to the same thing. So it's unfortunate. So my podcast Facebook pages are, well, I can't reach them right now. They're there, I'm sure, but I can't do anything with them. The Instagrams, thankfully, are still there. Freedom _of_thought 1776. That's still there. So I always thought Instagram and Facebook were like the same thing, but no, they're not. So thankfully, they are separate enough that I can still have a Facebook account for freedom of thought. A Instagram account for freedom of thought. A couple of new followers came in, though. From the looks of them, I truly doubt that they actually listen to the show, but who knows? Because they're not from the United States, but who knows? You never know. There is some good conversation that needs to be brought up, thankfully, and I don't know if I brought this up on the last episode, but it's a big deal to me. I mean, really, really big deal. So how things are feeling very negative here in the United States, in Minnesota, but in the United States, like certain relatives that were conservative, like less than a year ago, suddenly are like, Trump is a fascist, that POS Trump, and da-da-da-da-da. And they're basically acting exactly the same as all these angry leftists are acting. Bleep Trump and bleep ICE and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you were a conservative less than a year ago. What happened? Seriously, this is horrifying. It's terrible. Person after person. Obviously, Arnie Carlson betrayed the Republican Party, 20 years ago. Like the Bush era. I can understand people being annoyed and frustrated with Bush, but no, that was just Arnie Carlson showing his true colors. He was a Democrat from day one. Like, Arnie Carlson was a Democrat. He ran as a Republican. He was a Republican, and then he just wasn't, basically, at the end of the day. I forget if he actually supported John Kerry. I don't think he did. I don't think he voted for either side in that election way back in 2004. But 2008, he absolutely voted for Obama and has been a Democrat ever since. That'd be Arnie Carlson. And obviously that's kind of old news. But like, generally speaking, things look very negative here in the United States. Like, oh my God, it's going to be like a blue wave. Like, it's going to be a Democrat sweep the way things are going coming up in the midterms, and then we're all bleeped. Like, so much for this whole mega trifecta that a lot of us were all excited about: the Senate, the House, and the presidency. Oh my God, this is great. And then, I don't know, unfortunately, it does kind of feel like the pendulum swinging very quickly the wrong direction, and it sucks. But again, it's kind of like welcome to politics. You can't count on politics. You can't count on politicians. They're going to disappoint you every time. A lot of people thought that George H.W. Bush would be a stronger leader than Ronald Reagan, because maybe like the last few years of Ronald Reagan's presidency, it seemed like maybe he'd softened up a bit. Maybe like Bush can be a little stronger version of Reagan. Here we go. And Bush was Bush basically Bush was nowhere near Reagan, not even close. Like not even close. I mean, there's multiple reasons why George H.W. Bush was not reelected. First of all, I mean, he couldn't relate to the people in any way. He was just he was just an elitist, basically, like grocery store. What do I need to go to that? Why do I need to go there? Like, what the heck is this scanner thing? I've never even seen this in my life. That's pretty bad. Read my lips, no new taxes. And then just, less than 2 years later, like, hey, you're basically gone belly up on many things that you said you weren't going to. There was the reporter, basically, is what they said, paraphrasing. And George H.W. Bush simply said, read my hips. So stuff like that, because he was out jogging. And, of course, the Iraq War and this and that. I mean, I thought most of the country agreed with that one. But there was that. Of course, Ross Perot coming in and kind of like taking a big chunk of his votes. It was a combination of things. Bush not being able to relate to the people and this and that. And the fact that he wasn't a Republican at all. Like, he really wasn't. Was George H.W. Bush a Republican, or was he a globalist? He was a globalist. Was Reagan a globalist? No. Clinton? Yes. W? Yes. Obama? No. Obama a globalist? No. Yeah, extremely. Trump? No. Absolutely not a globalist. Biden? Yeah. Duh. He's of course. So basically, since 1980, we've had two presidents that have been non-globalists: Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. At the end of the day, so yet I don't know. I've talked about this time and time again, and I've probably babbled about it way too much. But yeah, I mean, obviously the country's been going in the wrong direction because of these divisive globalists, ever since the end of Reagan's presidency. And it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that people thought that Bush would be a stronger leader because maybe the last couple of years of Reagan's presidency weren't all that spectacular, compared to like the earlier run. But then again, they were good enough because Bush won in a landslide because of that reason as well. So a point I was trying to make earlier until I went down a rabbit hole so far that, my gosh, I mean, it was like I was in Alice in Wonderland basically at this point. Hi, Alice. Doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing all right. I mean, the country's going to hell in a handbasket because of ultra left. Oh, you're busy. Oh, okay, sorry. I'll let you catch up to the wabbit. I mean rabbit, excuse me. Sorry, I can't resist my imagination here. There's a country called Australia. Australia. A lot of you would think is extremely liberal, right? 99% of the time, boy, man, they're liberal. Yeah, they're the ultra left, just like the British. Yeah, I mean, there's some conservatives there. Oh, he's a nice guy. And heck, I love Australians. They're some of the coolest, nicest people on earth. Friendly, kind, generous with their friendship, their time, and in so many ways. They're some of the nicest people on the planet. But it's like, if they weren't gosh darn liberal, we'd be like the biggest friends in the planet. Well, as negative things are, forget the word salad, I'm too excited to talk here. As negative as things have been in Minnesota, particularly the Hennepin and Ramsey County, and other parts of the country as well, how things just, young people tend to be turning the wrong direction, and it's really disappointing, especially the female side that were conservatives before. Australia is becoming conservative. A lot of people in Australia are becoming conservative. I mean, it it puts chills down my spine in a positive way. It gives me goosebumps, like with excitement, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Like you're seeing things I'm seeing friends in the past. One of them that went as far once upon a time was talking about I forget which podcast. It was just, yeah, Timberwolves explosion. Like basketball, right? Because they love basketball in Australia. A guy, let's just say his name is Dan, right? I'm just going to leave it at Dan. You don't need to know any other continuation of its name. He went as far as to say, like, Trump needed to get I won't be happy until Trump has a bullet in his head or something along those lines. And it's like, why would you say that? And it was like, this was like during the election with Trump versus Clinton at the time. Sorry. And I was like, why are you posting that on the Timberwolves page? It was something along, I forget what we were talking about. And it's like, regardless, even if it's Hillary Clinton, you want a bullet in her head or something, or Trump, it's not going to be allowed again. You're going to be banned if you say it again. And then he never did. And then all these years later, you're seeing a completely different, a post that was completely different. And it made me feel so happy. And it sounds just like a lot of us here that are conservatives here in the United States. And then a dear friend of mine, Vince, also said, just as recently as 2020, like, oh, Trump bumbled the whole COVID thing. He was starting to like Trump, and then that Trump bumbled the whole COVID thing, and I'm not a fan anymore. Like, Biden's kind of like this nice uncle, and that kind of thing. It reminds me of this other leader back in the day. And then all these years later, and it's like completely different ballgame. I just can't believe it. Completely different ballgame. Yes, he says bloody oath, mate. What were we talking about here? I hope he doesn't mind. Yes. I posted a picture. What were we talking about? See, now it goes back further and further. Here we go. Your governor and mayor are twats, and the people protesting are brainwashed retards. This is a guy that not that long ago talked about how basically, we love Obama here in Australia. That was back when Obama was still president, so it's been a while. Thank God it's been a while for that, but of course we had Biden. And at the time, Vince supported him. But then he started liking Trump a little bit after a while. I remember even when I was going to vote for Trump, he was like, don't tell me you're voting for Trump. You're not really voting for Trump, are you? But then it's like he started to like him a little bit, and then the whole COVID thing made Vince do a 180, changed his mind completely, kind of like how people are reacting about the ICE thing right now. But all of a sudden, Vince says, your governor and mayor are twats, and the people protesting are brainwashed retards. This is an Australian. Yeah, you always think liberal. Not necessarily, and he's like bleeping crazy. I was saying, yes, they are brainwashed idiots. And he said, yet they're happy to let a certain group of people rape the state of their hard-earned tax dollars. I mean, it's insane. And I was saying, yes, I can't believe it, and they're just covering it up. They're using the whole ICE thing to cover it up. He says 100%. I was saying every other country on the planet doesn't want illegal aliens. Why are we supposed to kiss their ass? It makes no sense. There's nothing racist about it. Vince says, totally agree, mate. We have bleeps from other countries here telling us not to celebrate Australia Day today because back in 1788 is when the genocide started of Aboriginal people. Bleep right off with that. Because just like kind of what's going on with the Native Americans here in the United States, people are always like, oh, we backstabbed the Native Americans. Did we, though? Like, it's just a bunch of BS. I was saying it's total crap, and then I was like, instead of being mad at ICE, be mad at these two morons for letting 20 million illegal aliens. That was Biden-Harris. Vince was saying the great thing is there is so many barbecues happening, cars and youths driving around with the Aussie flag proudly flying. We Aussies won't stand for any BS. Two absolute crooked bleeps. That was like about the whole, Biden and Harris. Instead of saying, oh, he looks like like this nice uncle guy. No, two absolute crooked bleeps. What do you think of that? Crazy. He was saying bloody oath, mate, when I was saying, yes, I love that you're being able to celebrate Australia Day, whatever. Bloody oath we are, mate. Since the Bondi Massacre, there has been a real shift here. So since the Bondi Massacre, there's been a real shift here. The people have had enough. A political party called One Nation that was started just over 30 years ago by a lady named Pauline Hanson has become the opposition pretty much. She's our Trump. Oh, man, think about that. He says, I hope you Americans realize how many of us Aussies love Donald Trump. That means a lot. That really, it's wonderful. And Donald Trump is not perfect. He's a human being. He's done things that you might not completely agree with, or just saying silly things like Gulf of America. Now, I'm actually turning on the Greenland thing a little bit. Now, I'm not for taking it by force, but diplomatically, because apparently China and or Russia have been trying also to do the same thing because it can set them up to possibly invade the United States. That's been the fear. And that it's the whole balance of power thing. It's a chess game. This is not just fascist Trump trying to, take over a country, by force, and now we're Nazi America. Not true, folks. Not true. So people are overreacting to things way too much. I thought maybe it was just like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? But so I apologize for my ignorance on the last show. At the end of the day, continuing, he was saying, I hope you. Let's read that again. I hope you Americans realize how many of us Aussies love Donald Trump, and for the longest time, I thought it was the total opposite. That Australia is like the opposite, and for so long, so many Australians were, like talking about the bullet in the head, just like the celebrities, stuff like that. They want to see this and that. Horrible things happen to Trump. Get him out of here, this and that. Apologize. I left the sound on everything here, which is really annoying. So that's dumb that I did that. But it's like you'd never think you'd see that. Like there was always, we love Obama here. Obama and Trump are the polar opposites, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm proud to say I'm a polar opposite of Obama. You dang right I am. Continuing, don't believe the BS media here. Yeah, because the Australian media is as bad as the American media when it comes to, they make it like Aussies hate Trump and America hates Trump and we're all, CNN's got all the answers, boy. They got all the answers to Trump. Oh, God, this guy's a fascist. Da-da-da-da-da. And everybody hates him and his approval rating is 20% or 38% or whatever. Might not be completely accurate, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing, Finn says he is loved by most. If he came here, people would flock to see him. And I was saying I really love that. It's time that people here finally saw things for how they are. These globalists are trying to destroy every country on the planet so they can have their new world order. Yeah, it's not a myth. The new world order is real. George H.W. Bush talked about it a lot. And it's been an ongoing thing. It wasn't just George H.W. Bush and, now Bush is gone. There's New World Order. Yeah, that's some weird thing they talked about in the late 80s, early 90s. That's old news, But this other person that did tell me that one time years ago when I worked in the service industry, I think he meant it's old news in terms of it's been around a long, long, long time. And I think he meant it that way. I don't think he was trying to be a jerk and push me aside. I don't. At the time, I was kind of I wasn't sure exactly what he meant. But then it's wait a minute. Yeah. It's been going on. I was saying, yes, they can have their new world order. That's basically what's happening. They want us all to be weak so they can take over. Vince says, so absolutely true. Or not that long ago, Vince thought that was a load of succotash, basically, or whatever Australian word you might want to come up with, a load of rubbish. Yep, Australia / British. But yeah, that it would be just like a bunch of rubbish. This Illuminati thing has just been made up on social media. No, it's real. Oh, it's real. But the New World Order is even more real. Illuminati is kind of more like a religion where they're worshiping this all-seeing eye type of thing, which happens to be more than likely Lucifer himself. But anyhow, let's continue. That's really scary, isn't it? I was saying years ago, it's like I would have never thought I'd see it when he was saying how the Aussies love Trump. So many people cut me down for even supporting him. Now things are changing, at least outside of this nasty state. This place is a complete nightmare. On freedom of thought, I compared Minnesota to a house that allowed so many, I talked about this on last week's show, so many cockroaches in the house that it got to a point there were about 50,000 cockroaches running all over the place and the house was destroyed. Minneapolis, not Minnesota. Out of the Twin Cities, some people have some sense. Vince Germano says this, and this was probably the line of the entire conversation. You opened my eyes, brother, and I love you for it. Man, I mean, that meant, wow. that meant the world to me. I mean, you opened my eyes, brother, and I love you for it. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's just like, I never thought that day would come. Like, I never did. Like, I always loved the guy to death. You know, we love talking about basketball and just, you know, how fun it might be to get together in Australia and such. You know, put politics aside, everything's fine. But then now I'm seeing this. Now I'm seeing this, and it makes your friendship so much stronger. Like, not less than 4 years ago, it's like the COVID this, COVID that, and it's like, I don't agree with you, and it's like, I know, mate. Like, we'd get along, we'd put politics aside, we just simply didn't agree. You know, that thing, the no good guys, no bad guys. But now we don't even have to disagree anymore. It's just like, man, that's really cool. So awesome. I remember one day you said Trump is the realest person in the room. I took that and ran with it. I did my own reading and research, and I just love him. I wish the idiot Americans that don't like him could wake up and see he is putting American citizens first and America first. That's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing, and they're calling him Hitler. Can you believe that? You know, and I was like, there's no concentration camps. Like, wake up, guys. There's no concentration camps. ICE is about getting rid of illegals and criminals. Are some human being ICE agents stepping over the line? Probably, because they're humans. They're humans. Maybe they're afraid that because the reaction they've received is over the top. What kind of pass was that, Bones Highland? Yeah, basketball game in the background. Terrible pass. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, yes, people step out of bounds at times because they're, I don't know, maybe they're just a little bit crazy. Like certain police officers are a little crazy sometimes. That, I wish and pray to God that would stop happening. I wish that wouldn't happen because it's just giving more fuel to the fire to the wrong people. It's terrible, isn't it? Continuing, when people find out, this is from Vince in Australia, when people find out I like Trump, they say he's a racist. I always challenge them to give me 3 examples. Not one person can give me an example. But I tell you what, I can give them reasons why he's not. Yep, and 1,000,000 times, man. 1,000,000 times. He's one of those kind of guys, you know, like I had a supervisor years ago named Rob. The whole you help me, I help you. And that's you know, common sense. Kind of like how I, quote unquote, manage in my position of production coordinator. You could call me like an assistant manager. Well, it's like an assistant supervisor, basically, is what it is. Your assistant, you're like the right-hand man to a supervisor when you're a production coordinator. You help me, I help you. Like, we work together, folks. We're a team. You know, we that type of thing. We help each other. And that's how Trump is. Like, somebody helped him with a flat tire one time years ago. The guy pays off his mortgage. The next morning, the person found out that Donald Trump paid off his mortgage. That's it. Your house is yours. It's done. For fixing a flat tire. Think about that. That's a racist. That's a fascist. That's a dictator. Ha! Not at all. Not at all. And he didn't go out in a public and start throwing up signs that some of these liberal celebrities do, like, yes, look what we just did. Look what we just did. We gave $25,000 to this foundation. See that? Look at this big check we're giving. You know, it's like a big cardboard thing, you know, to say, this is what we're giving this organization. You know, good for you for being generous. But Trump would just do it. He wouldn't make a scene. He'd just do it. Like the mortgage is paid off already. Well, what? Yeah, your mortgage is paid off. They'd get a call or something on the phone or something the next day. Your mortgage has been paid off. You know, here's the whatever. You know, here's the lien. Here's the title or like the lien or whatever. Like, say what? Yeah. That's how Donald Trump pays people back for something like a flat tire. And yes, I'm sure that person did Donald Trump a wonderful favor that day. But yeah, just think about that. There's Australia Day. Yep, so I'm proud to be Australian. Happy Australia Day, legends. Isn't that cool? Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, awesome. And then we unfortunately got into conversations about a scammer on the Facebook page. Yep, trying to sell people vehicles and such. And, of course, the Minnesota Vikings and Minnesota Twins firing their general managers in the same day within the same hour, basically. And they both knew each other and got along well, too. The Twins general manager basically was like, well, it's like a title. He's really president of baseball, but you get the idea. It's the same thing. It's like a general title. He basically texted, I think it was they were having text conversation type of thing. Like, you're going to hear later today that I've been fired. And then basically the football one basically said, yeah, like later on during the day, or like within the next hour or so, was like, I've been fired too. Like, what are the odds of that? So pretty crazy. We got in that random conversation a little bit. But for all of the frustrations that we're having here especially in Minnesota, Twin Cities, all that crap. I keep saying Twin Cities. I almost hate saying those two words together because it just feels like a cesspool to be a part of. It really is. But to hear that Australia is changing that much, it's wonderful. It's a bummer that they can't vote, but at least we have their voice. At least we have their voice. It's not like, you have friends in Australia, Reach out to them if you can. Reach out to them. You just might. You just might meet the nicest person on the planet and the friend you wished you had growing up. Because let me tell you, Vince is a friend I wish I had growing up. Because, there were people that I looked up to as a kid that basically didn't give a rat's ass about me. That's a fact. There have been a lot of friends, pardon my French, by the way, growing up, didn't give a rat's ass about me. Now I'm swearing again, sorry. They didn't. They pretended to be your friend until, well, it just wasn't convenient anymore. Like, yeah, you be it you talk too much, or this other person is more interesting, or this person's cooler than you are, or this person drives a nicer car, or at the time they got their driver's license before you did. One reason after another, they just kick you to the curb. You thought they were a close friend. Then it's to a point like you can't even exchange a text with me. But boy, wish them a happy birthday, and they can't even remember your birthday a measly 3 weeks later. What does that tell you? That's the kind of people they are. But in Australia, I don't think they are like that. The friend you wish you had when you were younger. Let me tell you, I wish Vince was in my life when I was a teenager, or even before that. But thank God he's there now. I mean, there are some amazing people in Australia, and again, I'd say reach out to them if you can. They're not as there's some. Of course, there's going to be left wingers there. There are left wingers everywhere. Texas, we all look at that. Oh, it's a red state. There's plenty of left wingers there too. But just imagine like a Houston or something, or even Dallas, believe it or not. But Houston especially. There is that. But if you can find cool people like that, though, I mean, you're gonna feel a lot more positive about things. You're gonna feel like you do have a friend in this world. That type of thing. You're not all on your own, or just a couple people here and there. But yeah, it's more than worth it. Let me tell you, it's more than worth it to, even just interact on social media. Sometimes that's all we have, because heck, I can't really travel too much. As for what's happening with Iran, I'm not sure what to say yet. I mean, that thing was bubbling up way back in the year. We had several episodes there. I remember Trump bombed one of the nuclear facilities, or a couple or something, back in the I think it was early summer. Israel and Iran were having their back and forth. That was biblical at the time. We thought things were going to really head in a crazy direction, and then it got slowed down. Thank God. So that was always nice. But eventually, obviously, it's going to be the big one that gets things headed into Revelation. It's only a matter of time. We're just getting closer and closer. Like they said, wars and rumors of wars. So there is that. I hope that conversation with Vince from Australia made you smile a little bit, made you feel a little better about the general picture out there when it comes to politics. That we do have friends in Australia. We do. We do have friends in Australia, much more than we thought. We just wish that people here would kind of wake up as well, and hopefully that continues to happen. I mean, it was happening in 2024, and Trump won pretty handily over Kamala Harris because of it. Despite there was definitely a lot of cheating. That's why it was closer than it could have been, especially with Hillary Clinton as well. There was a ton of cheating there. And then with Biden, it's like we're not going to make any doubt. We're going to cheat so much and make it look so, and we're going to cheat so much that it's going to be pretty much obvious. And then just, make fun of people that would dare say we did cheat and tell them all that they're in a cult. You're just in a cult. He didn't win. You're in a cult. Yep. Just like the video game company that, this company that was making retro video game shirts that looked really cool. There was like the Castlevania and Mario, whatever the heck type of stuff. And then, of course, completely off topic from retro video games, there was a shirt that said, no, he didn't win. You're in a cult. And then it's like, bye. I'm not buying from you. The end of that. I was going to buy a shirt. I was literally about to buy it. And then I saw that. I'm like, cancel order. Done. Never again. Yep. BS. It's unfortunate, the gaming world, so dare I say retarded. But they are. dare I use the phrase retarded? Yes, they are. Or the word. Sorry if I'm not PC enough for you by using that. It's frustrating. Beyond belief. Hey, if the angry video game nerd can use the word and still be up there, so be it. He's a liberal too, unfortunately. Like, you got a problem with happy holidays, happy STFU. It's like, yeah, screw you. Screw you, James. That's what his name is, by the way. Yeah, that was annoying when I heard him say that. Well, with that said, again, I hope that was a little bit of a positive feeling. It's not about coming on the mic and yelling and screaming and being angry and bleep the liberals. No, I don't like liberals. But once in a while, it's nice to hear something knowing that we have more support in this world than we thought. It's not about everybody hates America and that we're all on our own. Not necessarily. And it's wonderful to know that. It truly is. With that said, I just want to thank all of you so much for listening. Please tell your friends about the show if you could. Tell your friends about freedom of thought. And this one probably should be shared around for those of you out there that need to hear some positive vibes here going forward, knowing that we do have friends in Australia. People should know. People truly should know. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Tell your friends that, feel that things are going to hell in a handbasket. And it sure appears that way. But there is hope. And keep praying. Most importantly, keep praying. Like, I prayed for Vince a lot. And maybe, just maybe. Well, obviously, yes. It's not even maybe. I do think the prayers do make a difference. And I think that's partially why, or I think that's a lot of why Vince's eyes may have been opened at the end of the day. Got to give God the credit for that. It's not me. Got to give God the credit. And, that's why praying is so important. Like, you're praying that people in the Twin Cities can wake up and see things a lot the way the Australians can, and other parts of the country as well. So, yes, please tell your friends. With that said, thank you so much for listening. Give this show a positive rating. It can use some love. It can truly use some love, maybe to get some algorithms going forward. Even a Freedom of Thought 1776 not Facebook, but YouTube that I've been just kind of let sit there dormant. The podcast has still been popping up on there, but I haven't made a video in forever. Gotta do some, even just short conversations might help get that thing going in the right direction. But yeah, tell your friends about the show, share it around, and thank you so much. And God bless the United States of America.